It's time for Recipe of the Day. Sometimes it's hard to decide what to talk about on this show. I'll ask myself, what do I feel like eating today? And what makes it tricky is that the answer is almost always gravy. Well, actually, it's usually cheese, but second is gravy. I love gravy on everything. And today I am telling you about an onion gravy. And I really like this recipe because it's so great for a weeknight. Unlike a lot of onion gravy recipes that have you caramelize the onions first, which can take 45 minutes, this one, you start with a sweet onion to start with. It is not yet Vidalia onion season, so you can't use those. But there's other kinds of sweet onions on the market at the grocery store. Have a look for those, and then you start with that, and then you don't need to caramelize them first. You have the natural sweetness from the onion to work with. So how do you make this onion gravy? You are starting with a large non-stick skillet, and you're melting 4 tablespoons of butter in there over medium heat. Then you're adding 2 of those sweet onions, peeled and sliced about 1/4 inch thick. You're adding those into that butter. Toss it to coat along with about half a teaspoon of salt. Then you're going to cook, stirring every now and then until the onions are soft and just lightly browned around the outsides, but not sort of melting into that caramelized mush. It's about 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm going to say I actually did do the side-by-side test. I caramelized the onions and I did this shorter saute, and I found that the caramelized onions just kind of melted into the gravy and were a bit gloopy, whereas these held a bit of shape and texture just a little bit, and it was actually much more pleasant to eat, not just in terms of the flavor, but also the texture. So they're just lightly browned on the outsides, 10 to 15 minutes. While those are cooking, you're going to get out a medium bowl or like a 4-cup glass measuring cup, that kind of size thing. And you're whisking together 2 cups of beef stock, 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1.5 teaspoons of dried thyme. To that, you are then whisking in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. That's going to be our thickener. And I'm just going to say I have seen a lot of recipes for onion gravy that call for a bouillon cube. I actually did try it and I did not find that it was necessary. You really have a lot of that nice umami meaty flavor coming from the beef stock, the onions, and the Worcestershire sauce that the bouillon cube was just lost in there, and so not necessary at all. Okay, once your onions are cooked through, like I said, browned on the outside but not all the way caramelized, 10 to 15 minutes, you are going to stir in that beef stock and cornstarch mixture right into there and stir and bring it up to a boil, then reduce it down to a simmer. The sauce is going to thicken. Simmer it, stirring pretty often for about 5 minutes. That's going to blend all those flavors and get it to just the right texture. Give it a taste, add more salt if you need, and then transfer it to a gravy boat with a spoon so you can ladle it onto everything that you're eating today. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is March 11th of 2025. And if you love getting recipe ideas from me, make sure you're getting my emails as well. So many great tips in there, so many great recipes as well. You can get there very easily to my email newsletter subscription area. Go to cookthestory.com/start-here and you can sign up right there. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookville.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.